This is said to be the future of accessible gaming, all thanks to this one small cube. But is that true? Well, I cried when I got to test it for the first time, so let's talk about that. Hi everyone, my name is Arevya and I'm a disabled and chronically ill content creator from Norway, and today I will show you all my first impression of Byowave's new accessibility controller, the Proteus Controller Kit. And this story happened around a month ago, when I got lucky enough to be invited to Byowave's office to test the controller and make content about it. But truth be told, when I got the email from them the first time, I actually deleted it, as I didn't think I was big enough fish to join something like this, so frankly I thought it was spam or a fraud. So the story might have ended there, if it wasn't for this vague memory I had of somebody talking about something called the Proteus Controller at GAConf. So after thinking about it for a whole day, I recovered the email, did my due diligence, and truth behold, there was actually a company called Byowave, and this was all true. They wanted me to fly out to Ireland to test their controller and to show the world. So today, that is what I thought this video is going to be about. I am going to show you my experience with testing the Proteus controller for the first time in my life, sprinkled together with my thoughts about the controller now 4 weeks later. But before we start, here is where I need to put in a disclaimer, because we always need to be transparent. I got paid to travel out to Byowave's office to test the controller, tell them what I liked with it and what I didn't like with it, and to make the content you see here and now and on TikTok and IG. Which is why I feel I cannot call this a review, but it is my first impression after trying it out for around 2 days. So without further ado, let me answer the question, is the Proteus controller the future of accessible gaming? First impression, what's in the box? Byowave was founded by Brandon in July of 2020 after he met an old friend, Evelyn, who told him the reality of her not being able to game for more than around 30 minutes due to pain because of her disability, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Together, they started working on the Proteus controller to make gaming more accessible for everyone. And now, after 4 years, the controller kit is set to be released in November, December of this year. When I arrived at Byowave's office in Galway, Ireland, I was given a tour of the office from Evelyn, and then she showed me to the studio where they had set up a kit for me to test and record. So I jumped straight to work, unboxing and taking a look at the Proteus controller, and let me just say, this is a beauty. And the magic continues when you open the box. I had asked the team not to give me too much information about the controller beforehand, and I have also refrained from reading too much up on it. The reason for this was that I wanted to try as much as possible to see how intuitive it felt using the controller as somebody who struggles with cognitive barriers due to my cerebral palsy. I wanted to sort of recreate how it would feel for you or me to receive this box for the first time, and to see if I could use it and understand it without too much help, as autonomy and independence is important for me as a disabled gamer. In the kit, as of recording, I was given access to everything I would need to make myself a controller, and it seems to correspond with what will be in the final product. Please don't mind the little green stickers that is on every module. That is there just because I have an early access kit here. In the box I was given to test out, there were this following equipment. 1 primary power cube and 1 secondary power cube, the Xbox button, 1 left and 1 right analog cube, D-pad button, the XYAB button, a left trigger and a right trigger, some big buttons, some half cubes and edge spacers, left and right handles, the charger spacer, USB-C cable, Bluetooth dongle, and a bunch of different covers. One of them did have this Lego pattern, and yes, you can put an actual figurine on top of it, but I do not think that is what it's made for. It is made to mount the cube to anything if you need that. The cube itself is not big, as you can see here. It weighs around 47 grams with a size of 42.5 millimeters in height, 39 millimeters in depth, and 39 millimeters in width. Personally, I'm really happy this cube is so small, as I don't have much strength in my hands. But for others, this small size might be a challenge, as the size and how you connect the cubes together might be tricky if you have problems with fine motor skills and tasks like that in general. As you can see, the power button and lock button are quite small, which fits me perfectly with my small hands, but I can see this to be a barrier for others. And now, 4 weeks later, thinking back on this experience, I have to say that I'm also impressed how well made and pretty this all looks. And the best of all, it does not look like healthcare. Normally, when things are made with us disabled people in mind, it looks and feels like it's taken straight out of the hospital, because it often is. But I and many others like me actually don't like to be reminded about hospitals in our own home. Who would guess? Which is why I am even more happy with how tech and cool this all look. Yes, it is an accessibility tool, but it still looks high-tech. It looks gamer, it has gamer vibes, and it's something I really enjoy because I am a gamer after all. But not only is it important that it's pretty, it also needs to be functional. And in this case, it starts with a box. I'm glad to see that this has magnetic openings, even though I miss maybe a hook like you have for the Xbox adaptive controller box. But all in all, it seems to be a sturdy, which is important as you need to place and store all the different components in the box. Because if you lose something important like the charger part, you will struggle. I did though see small weaknesses in the edge of the box, and it was a bit hard to close the lid if you didn't put things stackedly back where they belong. But to be honest, this is me maybe being a bit nitpicky here. All in all, this is top notch, and it feels like it's sturdy and it feels like it's quality. So now we are familiar with everything in the box, it's time for me to show you all me building a controller and see if it actually works with my accessibility needs in mind. Building a controller. As I was going to try read the instruction and then make it, but to be honest, what I actually want to do first and foremost is to try myself. I want to try and see how intuitive is this actually. So I'm going to try the best as I can to make something and then see how it feels before I read any instructions, before I have talked about how you do it with a team. I'm just going to try and make something. And that was just what I did. I started the testing without any other information than what I was given to me in the box. But you might have spotted something that is missing from everything I showed you earlier, and that is a user guide, manual, instruction. At the point of recording, the complete manual wasn't done yet. It hasn't been printed, fitted into the box. And as I said earlier, I wanted to see how it was using the system independently and without too many instructions from the team at Byowave. But I had to admit that without even a manual, I was completely lost. To be honest, I don't know if it was due to my cognitive barriers or just the fact that I had never seen anything like this before, so my brain didn't have any reference to how I should use it, or maybe I just don't have any tinkering skill or gene. Anyways, I asked for an instruction that would follow in the box, and I was given access to a PDF file and also some more early brochures they had made. And this is where everything started to make sense. From being quite lost and not understanding how things connected, to now understanding that there was a difference in cubes, to what the different parts of the cubes were called, to ideas on how to put it all together, I feel I now could start to make something. And oh boy, this was the fun part. As I started to see all the million different ways you could actually use this as a controller. But let me give you the basic rundown on how this all works. So you have your power cube, which is the brain of the operation, and the battery. All of your builds need to have at least one primary power cube that has one connector with a switch lock, a power button, and 5 ring faces. You connect 2 cubes together by the connector and the ring face and lock it in place with a switch lock. You just add every button or trigger that you want to any ring face, and they connect either with the help of a magnetic or a simple twist and lock. Every cube and every button can be connected to each other in 16 different angles. So they don't need to be straight on edge to work. They can also be like this or this or this or this or this or this or this. The triggers can be locked into any ring face at 8 different angles. The power cube also shows you different things by lighting up in different color depending on status. Rainbow is when it's configuring, slow pulse white is when it's searching to connect to a Bluetooth dongle, and blue is when it's in game mode, and orange when it's charging / connected to a computer. In the start, it does take you some tries to make everything work and figure out how to connect it all, but from the start of me making my first one to the third configuration I made the same day, I felt my confidence grow by miles. At the start, I was fiddling a bit in how to make everything line up when I locked it in place, but after some tries it was also a breeze to do, and I could just change things up in 1, 2, 3 and on the go. In other words, you will need a bit of help to get started, either from somebody else or from the brochures and manuals that comes with the kit, but the learning curve is not too steep, and I found myself figuring it out quite easy once I have a manual or some idea on what to build. And I cannot tell you how many times I went like, oh my god, yes, I can do this, while working on building the different controllers I wanted to make. Like, I started making more classic controller and my face lit up when I realized I could just easily add buttons to the backside to give my fingers more support. Like, because yes, you can make a regular controller, but to be completely honest, I would never buy this kit to just make it into a regular controller that acts and works like an Xbox controller. That is sort of a bit waste of money. Where this controller actually shows its power and potential is in everything else that it can do. From a one-handed controller to controllers that lie flat on the desk to be used with all your fingers, to a more standard looking controller that gives you access to buttons where you normally don't have them. This is amazing. This controller can be made in ways I have never seen before. And then I would like to have buttons here as well. Or even better, actually, maybe. Let's get triggers. This is so cool. Are you for real? I shouldn't swear, but are you actually for real? This is so cool though. And it actually genuinely helped with my pain in my arms, hence why you saw all the crying in the intro, but more about that later. I did also try it out as a dual controller, so one cube in each hand, sort of like the Joy-Cons, which was lovely, but sadly this is not possible to do without 2 kits. Byowave did confirm over email that they are looking in to see if there is a way of working around the need of having 2 kits, but this will not be offered at launch due to the need for more developing at this point. The only thing that actually confused me while I was building and like in this state of just having fun was that the joystick cube you see, there is an arrow that shows you which way is north, aka up. When I first got the kit, I didn't understand how that would work, as there will be times when you can't assemble the Proteus kit with both Joy-Cons pointing upwards. Turns out that yes, this is to tell you what will be up, but that can easily be changed in the software. So once you get a hang of it all, it is really easy to build and rebuild. Even when gaming, you can just smack on another button when needed to, and it all works quite well. And when everything is locked together, it feels quite sturdy. It doesn't feel like it will go apart until you actually lock it up and take it apart, which is a good thing, because then you feel more comfortable using it in whatever way is most accessible for you. But is it easy to break? Well, it is a piece of tech equipment, and in the start I was a bit afraid of breaking it, but after some time I was nothing I was worried about. In my experience over the 2 days I had, yes, it can handle you using it and assemble it, reassemble it with no problems. I did not break it, nor was I even close to at any point. Now I have to say that normally I also never breaks any of my regular controllers though. So can you break this cube? Yes, of course you can, but it doesn't seem that that is a normal thing to do with just normal regular use. And as you can see from the clip, I did more than once drop it and nothing happened. The ring faces are okay to touch, and when I built it, I didn't have any problems with touching them, though it does tell you in the manuals to please cover them with the caps when you are done making your controllers, which makes sense. I also got to talk to some of the other engineers working on a Proteus controller, and they told me that even though this is as close to done as you can get it, they're still working on improving parts of the controller to make it more accessible. An example, like for some people, it can be a bit hard to use the little slider that locks and unlocks each cube, and the engineer that I talked to did show me ideas they had on how to make small things like that more accessible. They also showed me some cool equipment that they were working on to make it easier to take on and off parts of the cube. I don't think this will be part of the original controller at launch, but I wanted to add it here to show you that this cube is not a one and done. It's an ongoing and ever evolving project. I also got told that Byowave encouraged people to try and design and print 3D parts to make the cube more useful and accessible for you, and that is really cool. I think the most fascinating print part that I saw was this 3D printed base that you attach to the controller to the joystick that can be taken on and off, so that you can sit it on your lap and use the whole thing as a joystick. Sadly, I didn't get any video of this in use, but trust me, it was brilliant. All in all, I have to say that the Proteus controller was easy to build with some help from the manual at start, so let's jump ahead to the more fun part, which is gaming with it. Playtesting. And the playtesting went well. The controller was easy to use, you just connected the dongle to the system you want to use it with, and that was it. I didn't have any lag as I could feel while I was trying to play Ori and the Blind Forest, and I tried a lot of the similar jumps in different ways, and it all worked out fine. In other words, it was quite like plug and play, and any changes I made to controller while I was using it was recognized by the cube and the game in some seconds. So say I had a jump button here but wanted to have it here, I just moved it and the game understood it in some seconds. It felt like using any other regular controller when it comes to how it connected to the system. But is it hard to game with something like the Proteus controller? Well, as somebody who already have had to start using different controllers, as I have had to learn how to play with my feet due to the pain I have regularly in my arms due to my arthritis, I would say that it's not hard to learn, it just takes time. I often compare playing with something like this as driving a car or cycling a bicycle. Of course, it's hard to do in the start, but you get a hang of it quite quickly, and after a short amount of time, it feels like second nature to use it. But at this point, I had used my arms and hand all day, and I had started to experience quite a lot of pain when playtesting was starting. And even though it was fun being silly and doing things like a one cube controller, it was starting to take a toll on my hands. My right hand is hurting now. My left hand is not hurting, but it's starting. Though it isn't every day you get to test the future of game accessibility equipment, so I powered through. Which, if you have any kind of illness or disability, know that that is not the smartest thing to do, because of course that meant that I started to feel quite a lot of pain after a while. Luckily, the wonderful Evelyn made me some different controller setups to see if there were any way for me to reduce the pain I was already feeling. Which made her coming up with a stable desk configuration, which made me to be able to lean my arms on the desk and to relax the part that was starting to hurt. And then, yeah, now it works as A. This is so cool! And now it works as A. Now I can just lay my hands like this and play. And here is where the waterworks starts. Normally when I game and my arms start hurting, I go from my keyboard to controller, or from controller to a dual setup where I use both my hands and my feet. This helps, but since I still have to use my hands in a more traditional way with a regular controller, the pain does not go away, it just lessens. But this was not the case this time. Since I got to use the Proteus controller in a way that was completely changing how I was holding my arms and hand, the pain actually stopped. And I started to cry. Are you for real? Can I steal this with me? Can I steal this home with me? So now I had my hand hurt, right? But now since I lay my hand like this, it doesn't hurt. Are you for real? Okay. This is really really, really, really good for me. I'm a bit shocked. I'm a bit overwhelmed. Because small changes like this might actually be the reason why I can continue gaming. And that feels really, really good. So yeah. And even though it is a bit embarrassing to show myself crying like this on a video about a controller of all things, I thought it was important to show you all. Gaming is so much more than just gaming, and having controllers like this will be a game changer for many disabled gamers like myself. I need things like this so I can continue gaming for as long as my body lets me. In other words, I need things like the Proteus controller so I can continue of being part of a community where I have all my friends, where I feel safe, where I feel like I can master challenges like everyone else. But for that to be a reality, I need innovations like this. And all of that hit me while testing this controller, that there was a reality in my life where I could actually start gaming again pain-free. And that is not something I have there to think about for quite some time, because how my illnesses is and how my disabilities are, that has never seemed to be a possibility. But with this controller, it worked. And for a second there, I felt like I used to do when I gamed like I was a kid. And that was important for me, because I don't want to lose gaming. I don't want to lose my hobby, and I absolutely do not want to lose the community. But I am afraid that pain will one day take that away from me. Software and community. And with the talk of gaming being a community, I think it's time for us to take a look at the software that comes with a controller. And yes, this will all make sense. You connect the Proteus Controller Kit to your PC with the help of the module that has the USB-C port. Just connect the part to your primary power cube and you are all good to go. The software is called the Proteus Controller web app and is instantly register what you have made, how you have put it together, like which button and cube is where and what they are all configured to do. In the system, you can remap every button and configure your joystick to be in whichever direction you need it to be. This is sadly the part that I got to test the least when I was in Ireland due to us running out of time, but we did do a quick rundown of how everything worked. What I was most impressed with was that the system's ability to register what you have made without you having to manually put it in each time. This is a huge win over controllers like the PS5 Access controller and the Xbox Adaptive controller, where you need to spend quite a lot of time to set up the system before you game. Here it's more plug and play. An example of this is when you remove, say, a trigger button and you put on a single button, the system will automatically know that and update in real time and everything is ready to go. And this is by far the best thing about this system right after like the cube itself. I cannot tell you how many times I've stopped playing with my other accessibility controllers, even though not using it will cause me more pain, just because I don't want the hurdle of starting to set up everything all over again, just because I want to play a different game. Yes, we do have other profiles on other controllers, but it still takes time to get a new game and meticulously having to input every button I need in that specific game, and But here you have a system that just fixes this all for you, reducing the cognitive load of using an accessibility equipment by a lot. And this is just such a big win and something I cannot stop thinking about for even 4 weeks later, because I want every single accessibility tool to have this ability from now on. Give it to me! And here is where we come back to that community part as well. Byowave is hoping to make the system where you can save and share configuration that you make with others. In other words, if you make a sick one-handed controller, you can upload that configuration and others can get a guide on how to make it themselves. I think this will be crucial for this controller to blossom in the accessibility community, just because you saw how much I struggled to start making everything without any information. If you have a more unique way you need a controller to be set up, it can be hard to figure it out by yourself. But then imagine if you had a community, you could ask and search up configuration tagged by people with the same need as you. It would take away a huge amount of cognitive load that is to work with tools like accessible controllers like this. This wasn't completely set up when I tested it all, but we talked a lot about it and I'm looking forward to test more in depth when I get my controller. The only negative thing I see with this system is that you need to have access to a PC or Mac to reconfigure the controller, which is annoying if you are primarily using the Proteus Controller Kit with your Xbox. You can do standard button remapping on the console, but if you want to change things that is more specific to the Proteus controller, you will need to use the app, like changing the analog stick. Crossing fingers that in the future we will also have this software for your Xbox console. Price. Okay, so I have now talked about how good this product is. From a solid made controller kit that is hard to break, works smoothly and have software that is innovative that takes the controller from good to greatness. But all of this doesn't come without a cost, and this is what I think will put most people off the Proteus controller. At the moment of recording, Byowave's controller kit, the Proteus controller, will cost you $266, and that is with a 10% pre-order discount. It is no other way to say this than this kit is expensive, especially when it's a tool that is focused towards the disability community. Which is something many people online have commented on, that this product falls under yet another thing that you might need to access something due to your disability, but it's more expensive than the regular product, aka it has an added disability tax. And this is a real concept. Being disabled comes with a higher cost of just existing than if you were not disabled, giving it a small sour taste when everything we need to access our hobby or just existing in our lives comes with an extra price, especially when a lot of us have less of an income due to the inaccessible job market that we have today. And I do understand that. It's a real criticism and something to be irritated about. But the sad truth is just that with any new type of tech, there will come a high cost of innovation that the company needs to get covered by sales. Byowave are not Xbox, they are not PlayStation, they do not sit of assurance of a large piece of the market in a space they already exist in, or the money to back it up from years of selling games and consoles. They are a small team trying to do big changes, and it comes with a cost. It is worth noticing that a lot of people seem to believe that the Proteus controller was backed by Xbox and therefore Microsoft due to them using the Xbox logo and things, but that is not true. The Proteus controller is licensed by Microsoft, not a Microsoft product in itself. What that means is just that Byowave has a stamp of approval to use the Proteus controller kit on the Xbox controller as an official third-party company. And by the way, this is not me trying to make you not criticize the price and go all, you need to buy it because you need to understand that they're a small company. Absolutely not. This is me trying to say that the product is unfortunately expensive for some people, but it isn't without its reason. But I can understand if that reason does not make it feel any less sour. If you can't afford something like this, that would make you be able to access gaming easier. I just hope that when the Proteus controller is released, that it will be recognized as the accessibility equipment it is. And in countries that have the same system as Norway, you will be able to get it for free from the government as they look at it as an activity aid for disabled gamers. In other places, I hope we will see charities taking it onto their roster like Able Gamers and Special Effect, so people can try it out before buying it and hopefully also get it for a reduced price. And of course, I do hope Byowave will do so well that someday they can make a kit that has a lower price than what we see today. Conclusion. All in all, this is a solid piece of game accessibility equipment that will change how we look at controllers from this day forward. This level of possibility is the future of accessible gaming. The Proteus Controller Kit will fill a gap we have yet not seen being addressed in the gaming industry. I feel like this controller will sit somewhere in between a regular controller and more standard accessibility controllers like the Xbox Adaptive Controller and the Access Controller. Because, let me just be clear, the giants that is traditional accessibility controllers will go nowhere, and they don't need to. They serve their part of the accessibility community well and will continue to do so for years to come. The Proteus controller is just a breeze of fresh air into a space that has been doing somewhat similar things for the last 6 years. Will this be the perfect controller for everyone? No. With it being so small and a need to be able to lock the cubes into places and the price, this will exclude some disabled gamer. But as we all know, nothing is 100% accessible and nothing is 0% accessible. This will, though, cover a market where we have yet not seen being covered, and I can't wait to see how the community will react when more people get its hand on this controller. So let me just end with this. Byowave have made a beautiful and solid controller kit of high quality with the understanding that in the disability community we do nothing about us without us. It has grown out of the need for more accessibility, both made by and for disabled gamers, and it shows. This is a brilliant piece of equipment and I can't wait to try out some more. November, December needs to come quicker. I need to get my hands on this again. Okay, so that was my first impression of the Byowave Proteus controller. What do you think? Will you get this yourself? Is there something that you are missing? Let me know in the comments below, and we will return to this controller when it's released to the big market so I can get my hands on it and try it even more with all your questions in mind. And until next time, may you have a good morning, day or night wherever you are around the globe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!